The special guest is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Charlie had a lot of money, and I got into a legal funding business where he and another partner were the money guys or whatever. They gave me a credit line, and I would loan money, advance money on their potential injury settlements, and I would buy medical receivables for personal injury lawsuits. And it just, looking back, I mean, maybe they were trying to use me to launder money or something. It was good for a little bit. I paid myself as the managing partner of the firm. It obviously didn't work out well. He closed down the business, tried to pull the rug out from under me. We had a lot of money on the streets. I was expected to collect that money. When I was collecting this money to pay him back, I was accused of racketeering, embezzlement, fraud, conversion, and theft. And I admitted to it. Yes, I did pay myself to collect your $2 million.
Yeah, I think it was insider trading.
When you're into something business-wise with someone that you kind of like turn the head a little bit and you're like, God, I just got to get through this, you know what I'm saying? Charlie had more money than you know what to do with. I was with Charlie. I was with him that day, and he was in surgery. I had an office in the back of the dental office that he was doing surgery in. He freaked out, and I was like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, so-and-so just got arrested. He would call me, and it would be like a 45-minute conversation every day, repeatedly. And I was with him that day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting.
How big was Charlie's steroid business?
Oh, yeah.
Business.
No, he was caught on wiretaps talking about selling steroids and selling weed.
He wasn't selling. He was just an idiot that was trying to be cool to get something for someone as a middleman and to like probably benefit himself. No, Charlie didn't sell steroids.
I do recall hearing some wiretap where he was talking about selling steroids to somebody. Yeah. No, Charlie was not selling steroids. It might have been like a conversation where like, hey, I know a guy, I can do this for you. And no, he didn't have a steroid business. That's ridiculous. But no, I just told the truth. So I wasn't worried at all. They know what I did. They know who I am. I sent him a picture of my driver's license. I said, around, find out. I was like, come get some. No, I wasn't worried. I can understand that question, but no, I wasn't worried. No, I'm not worried. Good question, I guess. I don't know. No, I'm not worried at all. I don't know. It's like June said, it was like a fairy tale. What's that?
Oh, he was banging on my door.
Huh? Oh, jeez. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, I wasn't worried about those idiots.
Okay.
But don't be sorry for me. It's it's trying to do the good work.
I just wanted my steroids.
What?
Yeah. A lot. And he blew it.
Mm-hmm.
Please what's that?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, sure.
Illegitimate allegations that
back in 2016, when people got arrested, not many people in South Florida knew it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he also spoke. Both of them spoke on maybe he would show up. Okay, how did Charlie make his money? Do you believe a person can get a?
Please what's that?
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, jeez. Huh? Okay, well, we'll try to wrap it up quickly then. Okay, that was random. Okay.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you're doing well. The opening video was from Craig_R's channel. So also happens to be a moderator on this channel. And that is his latest video taken from one of my favorite channels, AA Legal Focus. Judy's interview with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Amazing interview. I thought quite revealing in what he wouldn't share, what he would share, and of course, all the spontaneous things that happened in that live stream. Terrific interview. And I think Craig did a great job editing it down to its essence. I think that, to me, that's the essence of that interview. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Wendy's police questioning. It is certainly unusual. I don't know if I've ever seen another police questioning with friends coming in and out. And so much so that the person who's being questioned is really controlling the whole interview, from the victim's advocate getting her sweaters and water, and to her friend sort of on her knees in front of Wendi, to the detective Isom, who I think did a really good job in getting a lot of information out of her. Many of the comments said that that was his style, to be really soft on her and hope that she would open up with as much information as she had or was willing to give at that time. Obviously, my opinion is that she didn't say everything that she knew. I believe that she and her family are behind the murder of her ex-husband, Dan Markel. But he got her talking. And we hear these kind of strange lines of thinking going on. And when she seems very worried that he isn't dead and that he might make it. And at other times, she's wanting to rush in the boys to the hospital, who were really young at that time, to see their father, which they're all like, Craig is like, what are you doing? Detective Craig is like, what are you doing? Do you understand what just happened here? Do you really want to traumatize your children? But of course, for Wendi, the most important thing is how she is viewed in the eyes of the people in the room. The most important thing to her is getting out of that room, having fooled everybody and not being a suspect. I think it'd be interesting to go back and count how many times she suggests that she could or should, or it's reasonable to infer that she would be a suspect in this case. It seems like she's doing it an awful lot. But of course, knowing what we know now, of course, we want the detective to ask some really stronger, more pointed questions. But that is, of course, with the benefit of hindsight. They're just putting the case together. Just landed. They're just finding out who's who, what happened. And I think they did a pretty good job, all things considering. Some interesting questions. Let's take a look. From J. Cash, 35. The constant, consistent, humble bragging that Wendi does in that interview is baffling. from bragging about her own looks to bragging about her friends being doctors, to Jane having this title, that title, to Jane's house being nice. The constant need to list people's level of education and job titles at the same time, not being able to stop taking personal hits at Dan Markel for mentioning a job he didn't get that he applied for, to the help he needed for back surgery, the money he owes her. But what is absolutely insane is the amount of times you have to keep watching this interview in order to fully understand it and catch everything. I mean, you know she's being gross the entire time, but as a viewer, it's so overwhelmingly gross. And the disdain for her is such that it's difficult to clearly see the whole picture of her depravity. Really interesting question. I never thought of his back surgery as a dig. Thought that was a really provocative comment. It gives me a lot to think about. I wouldn't have thought about his back surgery as kind of a dig. Interesting. I do pick up, of course, that she's very angry about the money he quote unquote owes her. Of course, we know now that Dan Markel wasn't paying back that money or giving her that money because he felt that she hid assets in their divorce, and he was asking the courts to censure her law license. And that would have been a real professional stumble for her if that had happened. And of course, it would have made her look bad and not perfect. And according to Jeffrey Lacoste, the worst thing you could do was make Wendi look like she was not perfect. Mealy 6232 says, what is a 5-star family? So this is from Dr. Graber's op-ed that he took out defending the Adelson family, specifically Donna. And it's echoed in Julie K. Brown's article, where she basically states everything that's written in Dr. Graber's article as fact, that this was some kind of 5-star family. And that's an interesting question. What is a 5-star family? It's crazy that anyone scores, quote unquote, families. Who are the judges of these families that decide how many stars they rate? Elite's gonna elite, I guess. Yeah, interesting. What do you get? Like my family's a 3.5 star, 2.5 star. Okay, speaking of Craig_R, who's doing great videos on this case on his channel. Really encourage you to subscribe. And thank you for moderating my chat. If Wendi had wanted to throw Charlie under the bus, she wouldn't have said he was part of, quote, an illegal funding business where he and another partner were the money guys, where they gave a credit line and would loan advance money on their potential injury settlements and would buy medical receivables for personal injury lawsuits, unquote. All she really said was to repeat things that had already been, quote, joked, unquote, about with people outside the family or by email. Yeah, that's my take on her telling the TV joke. She knew it was out there. She knew it was going to come back up in the investigation. Remember when Jeffrey Lacoste, speaking of, sat down and said, I'm surprised you didn't get me in here earlier because I said over a dozen times that I wanted to kick Dan's ASS. You remember that? I mean, it's very similar. And once you hear him say it, you go, oh, yeah, nobody who's really involved is going to volunteer something like that. So that's my thought on it. And of course, if she really wanted to throw her family under the bus, she would have told the detective what she told Jeffrey Lacoste, that her brother looked into hiring a hitman last summer. I mean, that's the way to throw them under the bus, that they had taken action. This is just sort of a distasteful joke that might kind of come up in the investigation. And when her family is spoken about, she said they would never do this. And she immediately goes to other suspects like Dan's current girlfriend, Amy Adler. Interesting note about her. She's Jonathan Adler, the designer's sister. NYU law professor. Very attractive woman. I'm sure she was very intimidating, and Wendi felt very jealous and competitive towards her. And of course, if this woman is going to be around your children, it can't be a comfortable thing for someone like Wendi, who it's so much about power and control in terms of the kids. I parent, I love, I put them to bed, I control. It's not really about spending time with the kids. It's just about controlling the time and controlling the influence. Last comment. Lisa Roy 55-1 says, Donna in a paddy wagon. She never thought of this. The gas that Wendi is reaching for is called sup sucking, and is an involuntary, almost hiccup style of emotional spent cry. Interesting. I didn't know that. She tries, and it is comical, meaning she tries to replicate it, and it just doesn't work. It just sounds like she's doing a lot of heavy breathing, or she's making a crank phone call or something. Donna is Leona Helmsley. Quote, taxes are for the little people. That's what Leona Helmsley was famously quoted as saying. And she was enormously hated during her time as a New York figure here in New York. Stories abound about her, from not paying for replacing I guess the people at Ferragamo told me that when she brought in the bows in her Vera shoes to be replaced, she wouldn't pay for any of it. And I think it's at that time, it had to be a $5 or less charge per bow. So that'll kind of give you an idea of her mindset. She had that same sense of entitlement that Lisa Roy is picking up on in this comment, or talking about in this comment. Or in Donna's case, jail is for the deplorables. I deserve house arrest. Yeah, jail is for everybody else, for the distaste, for the poor people, for the people that she's hired. I would expand on that, for everybody else, even though it looks like she's staying in quite a sophisticated jail. I don't know how many other jails have beekeeping programs, and the complex looks incredibly large and sophisticated. She's complaining about the dirty blanket, and they're not giving her access to her lawyer, and the staff isn't identifying themselves to her. And an interesting thing, I'd like to hear your thoughts on why you think Donna discussed all her plans on the phone with Charlie. There is many, 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 many hours and hours of phone calls between Charlie and Donna before her flight to Vietnam. Was she just sick of running? She was also quoted as saying, Dan Markel is haunting me from the grave. Was she just tired of living in a kind of world where she could be arrested at any moment? I've heard from other people who have broken the law and gone to prison, jail, and then prison, been convicted of it, that the best night's sleep you get is the first night you're in jail, because it's finally happened. The thing that you're so worried about and so anxious about, and all your energy is spent avoiding happening, has happened. And nothing, it's settled, it's done. So, but the other half of me thinks that Donna would never surrender in that kind of way, even though she was talking about ending her life. I think that she would neither end her life nor would she surrender. I think there's a real defiance in this family towards the law. We make the law. We should make the law. We're the most important, best people on earth, and everybody should bend to our will. So I can't see her surrendering to a force that she thinks is so much so beneath her. But interesting thing, it's being reported that she put these trusts together for the kids, but those trusts were done a year in advance. She wasn't doing any of the stuff that she was telling Charlie she's done, getting her affairs in order. They had been in order. And why give a whole week for law enforcement to catch up with you? I mean, wouldn't you think, can you still buy your ticket at the airport like you used to? Is that still possible? I don't know. Used to be you could just buy a flight at the airport. And by the time law enforcement may have caught up with her, it may have been too late. They would have had to go into motion right away. My understanding is she's also on some kind of no-flight list, but they don't always work. They don't always catch everything. It's just such a clunky way to make an escape. So curious to hear your thoughts as to why she did it in such an odd way and why she announced it. But I think her latest filing is totally ridiculous. I think she will get the evaluation she wants, and it will give her a little bit more flexible time with her lawyers, and they'll make extra sure that she can have all the time with her lawyers that she wants, with her lawyer or lawyers that she wants. But as for house arrest, she's dreaming. She's dreaming. It's so off the wall. She knows there's no bond on that charge on murder. So what, again, asking for special treatment and putting it on them. Your conditions are so bad that you're forcing me to ask for home confinement, because no person such as myself can live in these conditions with a dirty blanket, et cetera, et cetera. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, rest my voice. When I get back from the break, we're going to be looking at Wendy's amazing police questioning. Stay tuned.
If you are enjoying this episode of my True Crime Report, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share this episode. Get access to exclusive podcasts and other bonus content by becoming a patron today. If you have a question or comment for me, shoot me a super chat and I'll do my best to answer it and read it on air. Thanks so much. Now back to the show.
Okay, here we go. So last we were in this saga, it really almost feels like a kitchen sink drama. But we have Wendy's boo-hooing a pile of tissues. We have her friend on her knees in front of her. It really looks like if a movie director or play director had choreographed this, I don't know what's the word for it, block this. That's what it looks like. It really looks like a scene from a play or a movie. How many times have you seen people's friends come into police questioning like this?
I don't know how I'm going to tell the kids.
Let's put that on.
That would be great. Thank you. Thanks. You really know the cat? You know that?
What's that? I'm sorry.
You know that they don't think he's going to make it through this? Oh, really?
You're not gonna make it.
Yeah, he's a TMH right now.
Mm.
And I was asking because I thought maybe he would, and I wanted
Right.
I wanted the kids to be
This-
with him if he
No,
wasn't
okay.
gonna.
Okay.
So we know that from Charlie's trial and the evidence in this case that a reasonable inference from the evidence is that Wendi was involved, Harvey was involved, Charlie was involved, everyone but Rob, who moved away after this incident from his family, cut them off after he figured it out. He was very concerned why the rest of his family wasn't curious about who shot Dan Markel. And I'm always curious as why he's never testified, and if he would testify in a trial like Wendi's trial, because I'm sure that the jury would be very interested to hear that Wendi was so uninterested in finding out who did this. I mean, even OJ set up a hotline to find the, quote, real killers, unquote. He was looking on golf courses all over America for those real killers. But she's not interested. But what I'm thinking of looking at this is wondering if her friend Jane, if is very motherly and very warm, and if that was any kind of comfort coming from Donna, who is the kind of, I wouldn't find her very comforting. I would find her high stress, demanding, narcissistic kind of mother. And Wendi, my opinion, is in the same kind of mold. If this provided her any kind of even temporary comfort, because what she really needs comfort is in getting through this and getting out the door. If you're Wendi, you just want to throw out a few false leads to the detective and haul out of there. Haul yourself out of there, because the more you talk, she's a lawyer, she knows, the more you're going to incriminate yourself. Even the small statements have been very odd that she announced. I was wondering in the car coming over if you thought I was a suspect, before she ever really knows what's going on. And just announcing that she took the shortcut to the crime scene because it was the shortcut. That's like my favorite part, when she's like, because it's the shortcut. Everybody calls it the shortcut.
And he has family and stuff that has to do. Something.
You don't have any family here in Canada.
Right, I know, but I mean,
There's no family here.
They don't.
girlfriend, anybody come down? Nothing?
Amy, I don't know if Amy knows yet. I don't have Amy's phone number.
Amy's on
Oh.
Facebook.
I'll contact her later.
She's on Facebook. I mean, she can be found.
Yeah. I was thinking of one more thing. This is really tangential, but his friend I told you about, Matt Price.
She's like, enough about Amy. Dan's incredibly accomplished, beautiful new girlfriend. Forget her. Forget telling her. This is about me, guys. She's kind of screwing up her face, making a pruny kind of face, like at the thought of it. I don't want to tell her. I have enough to worry about just getting myself out of this room. Please put the focus back on where it should be, on me. This is me. So it's no longer Dan Markel is the victim, his family is a victim of this crime. It's all her. And how is she going to tell the kids? Not even how are my kids going to get through it? It's how am I going to get through it telling the kids? And she tells these very implausible stories about how her youngest son was saying God is dead, and they were talking about death at 3 and 4 years old. Really? Okay.
His wife's brother was killed. So if you're going to call someone first, Matt's going to lose it. So
I don't intend on calling Matt. I just need
Okay.
to have the background on different associates and friends and so
Right.
Yeah.
forth. You know, my objective is to find out who did this. So based on what you've told me, I'm going to take that information, compile it with other information that other investigators have worked on, and we'll see where it leads.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying anybody that you told me about is any way involved.
Is there
I
any
don't know.
sign of stuff being stolen from the house?
I can't discuss that.
Okay.
So,
But you are discussing that you don't think he's gonna live.
I'm telling you the fact that I know he's not going to live. He's not going to live. Okay. So,
Is he dead now?
well, I already discussed that with her. Is he has enough injury that's traumatic enough that he's not going to be able to recover from it.
Did Lynn already go get the boys?
Yes.
What's happening right now is Lynn's on her way here. She doesn't have car seats. Gonna take the car seats out of your van, put them in Lynn's vehicle, and she's gonna go directly to Creative Preschool,
She has a key to my house, so she can.
pick up the kids. If I get a chance to, when she arrives, I will talk to her briefly and basically tell her, you know, let's wait on discussing anything with the children.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm sure she would do that anyway.
Yeah. I wonder if it would be better if she didn't know. Like if you
It's,
That's
I mean,
just so
here's-
that she's because she's gonna be down. Like, what if she can't then drive and go get the boys? Like,
okay, but let me just say to you, I didn't know anything when I came here. So my husband Googles and says there was a shooting on Trescott Drive this morning at 11.
I got a call from
So-
my like real estate agent who.
So it means everything to everybody else, an incident on Trescott Drive, even to Jane's husband, to the realtor, but not to Wendi when she's in her car an inch away when the crime scene tape is across her old mailbox. She doesn't worry at all. I'd love to put that in front of a jury, see how they take that. Find that really odd. Everybody else seems to get it right away that something terrible could have happened.
Heard something.
So I know that I didn't know why I was coming here, but anybody with more sense would have known that.
John told you that
Yes.
when you told him you were coming here? Or?
No, they found John.
Mhm.
Interestingly, they found John's cell phone number.
They found me eating lunch. I don't know how that happened. I'm fascinated still.
And
They have ways of finding.
yeah, it's interesting. So they called my husband's cell phone, and he was like, here she is. Talk to her. And they said you needed me at the police department, so I came. It was not
What did you think I needed you for?
I wasn't thinking it was good news, but I didn't, my thought.
Really, when you're so upset, is this really what you want to find out? All these little tiny details, what people know, how they knew. Wouldn't your mind be more on just getting through it? And what's the next step? What do I have to do? But here she wants to go back in time and find out how everybody knew and who knew what and who's been contacted by the police and who hasn't. Because my thought on it is that I think Wendi's trying to figure out how much everybody knows and trying to figure out what John is going to say if he's interviewed, what Jane is going to say if she's interviewed, what Lynn's going to say if she's interviewed, and how it's going to reflect on her.
Thought was that Danny had probably assaulted you. That was my
I
thought.
think that was Lisa's thought when she's like, I heard there was a shot on Trescott.
So-
So that will tell you how Jane is fully indoctrinated into Wendi's thinking. Dan is fully the enemy. She thinks if there's a shot, that something had to happen to Wendi, that Dan is going to be the villain in this story. And by the way, I got one comment saying that I was very hard on the victim's advocate and the detective. I don't know how you heard that. My point in pointing out how they were manipulated is just to show how good Wendi is at it. And they're just putting the case together. They don't have all the information. They couldn't know what we know now. So I would ask that you listen again. That's clearly a misunderstanding of my point in showing you this. But she makes all these people her tools, and that's how this family operates. They use people to their own ends.
I hope you're okay.
So that,
The realtor.
Yeah.
so that was my, but this scenario, which is now not seeming real to me,
Yeah,
didn't
well, me
seem
neither.
like was not what I,
Me neither,
what I
but
thought of.
I just keep picturing the kids.
right. No, so there's no point in doing that, don't do that. So
When
when-
Lynn gets here, I'm gonna just ask her to take the kids to her house. Would that be
Instead of my
unreasonable?
house?
I think
Wouldn't that
that's
be
much
more
better.
reasonable?
Is that better? She has a TV. They can
Yeah,
watch TV.
yeah,
I know, but
Yes.
they've been there before.
A
Yeah.
bunch.
Yeah,
they're
take them
very
there.
comfortable there.
They
Take them
have
there.
children of their own.
They've got 4 kids. They're grown, but
take them there. Take them
okay, yeah.
Because,
All right, I'm gonna go make sure that I don't miss her.
Okay.
thank you.
Lynn Grossman, right?
Mhm.
Oh,
This is Sarah, by the way.
Hi, Sarah, are you a victim advocate?
I am. I said you used to be a victim advocate. Was I
That's
right?
not true,
Not
yeah, I've done lots of stuff like that.
I
but-
recognize your name, and then she explained.
What's your last name?
Latour. I've only been here about 2.5 years.
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate, I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, that's
Jane,
not right.
who would have done this?
I have just
And
one
are they
idea.
going to?
So once again, Wendy's asking the questions, so she doesn't have to answer them. So now it could be her friend's idea. Any kind of suspects that she throws, any false leads that she throws out. And interesting, the victim's advocate, Sarah, says, I've only been here 2.5 years. Seems like kind of a lengthy time to do that job. She has experience. But don't blame these people for being fooled. A lot of thought was put into what, this is my view, obviously, what Wendi was going to say. She says it like a million times. I understand why I'm a suspect. Who would do this? Pretending to be confused, pretending to try to figure it all out. When we know that she, as Georgia Kappelman says, couldn't help herself from driving by the crime scene, making sure it was done.
To come after my kids. Or me. Who's next?
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
I don't even think of Jeff. I hope to God not.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I
course.
think you should, I think Wendy's been seeing a guy called Jeff,
Who's a friend of Jane's. And
who's jealous.
yeah.
Are you still currently seeing him, or just something you kind of?
This is one of these things that narcissistic people do, is they purposely provoke jealousy by flaunting their infidelity in Jeffrey Lacasse's face and then saying, oh, look, but you're jealous. There's something wrong with you. It's not my behavior that's sparking this off. It's you. And this woman is just believing every single word without any skepticism out of Wendy's mouth. So it will be, of course, her friend's idea, Jane's idea, that Jeffrey Lacasse could have done this. Not that she set him up knowing that he was taking a trip, matching the car that the shooters were driving to a car Jeffrey Lacasse drove, not knowing that Jeffrey Lacasse's trip would have taken him right by the crime scene. So all you see is him driving off as he says it right afterwards. She could have really messed up his life for a while. I think they would have figured it out. But at what cost? It's very much like Amanda Knox, who named her boss as the real killer and let him sit in prison for 2 weeks, ruined his business, ruined his family finances, and he got himself out on the strength of his own alibi. And she won't pay him the money for slandering him. There's no really good translation in that way. With interest, she's trying to get that undone right now in defendant-friendly Italian courts. Good luck with that.
Like taper off.
It's been a bad week.
Okay.
Yeah, Jane and I actually went for a walk together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, earlier this week.
But you've taken a 1 week break from
I took
Jeff.
a 1 week break from communication with Jeff to figure out what to do.
Okay.
Because we've been dating for like 9 months, so like 10 months a year.
And when you use the word dating to you, is that's my boyfriend, or is it more of just dating,
Yes.
like the casual? Okay.
Yeah.
No, like he was my boyfriend and involved with the kids, and I mean, yeah. And we had kind of a fight recently, and he's been trying to get back together, and I didn't know if I wanted to, and so he actually, the morning that I gave that talk, my boys were there and Jeff was watching them, so I could give the talk. Like he's, Jane, do you think I have to tell them about him?
I think you
guess.
have to tell them about him because that is the only,
God forbid.
the only thing that I can imagine related to you.
So it's not that Jeffrey Lacoste has been nothing but wonderful to her, taking care of her boys while she's giving a speech, supporting her, not being unfaithful to her like she has to him. But I'd be very curious to know if she ever broke off another relationship with this needing 10 days or a week or whatever. But she's primed her friend, so she doesn't have to falsely accuse him, right? Or bring him up into the suspect. Her friend's already primed to do it. It's really like, the term flying monkeys with narcissists? I mean, this woman is really like her flying monkey, will do her bidding. Wendi has to do very little here.
Related to Danny.
The only thing I could come up with was like his girlfriend Amy is recently divorced, separated, not really divorced. Like,
Sure. So
what if-
either of those people.
like the jealous boyfriend types, like what if the ex-husband?
Right, totally. And you know that this divorce has been very stressful, and Jeff has been very stressed out by the stressfulness of your divorce.
I mean, I'll tell them this, right? Like, can you tell them?
And when investigator Isom comes back, you guys can just, stay, and he'll ask all the questions that investigators ask that I don't think of very often because I'm a victim advocate and I don't think of things.
I think you do have to tell him about him.
Yeah, I wasn't
You weren't
not
thinking
telling
of
on
him.
purpose.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I wasn't thinking of it. I just kept thinking, like, who in the world?
Is he someone that has, access to?
He's a professor of social work.
Okay.
He's
All right.
former military.
Yeah.
Just curious, how many times have people sat at your feet like this in your life? I can't think of any time in my adult. I mean, teachers used to do this when I was a kid if they were helping me out with a homework problem or something. And then you see on the left, Sarah, the victim's advocate, as she should be tuned into Wendy's, is really mirroring her whole posture, her whole hunchy posture, and intensely focused on her. So she's really fully in control of this.
But I mean, you don't think about this guy as like, oh, there's the kind of guy.
Right.
I mean, I would more just as like say that maybe you did this.
Right.
It's just relationally, he's jealous.
Right.
Something is bad. This or that. I'm
Something is bad.
I'm just assuming that this isn't true for the moment, but I guess that's not so.
And you have to look at it this way, telling them this
And of course, it seems like Jane is getting into the drama of it. And they've all agreed that it's Jeffrey Lacoste. All you have to say is jealous. Can you imagine this case in a court of law? Here is Jeffrey Lacoste. Jury, he's very jealous. They just broke up. Case closed. But lucky for him, he left a night early. And he has said that he felt that they were marching like a drumbeat towards this date. He's like, this date, July 18th, meant something to me. There was something about this date, even before Dan Markel was killed. And now they've all decided that the best subject of an investigation is Jeffrey Lacoste. Because what says psycho revenge killer like watching your kids when you're giving a lecture?
If anything, will help them disqualify.
Right, that's important to do.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to give them his number?
I can give them.
They have my phone, so
they certainly have a ton of stuff from him. So I Googled Trescott shooting.
Thank you for being here. So you Googled Trescott shooting, and what do you see?
Just that, police investigate shooting on Trescott Drive.
And it's on the news.
And unfortunately, the media here tends to get places, and they can't really stop them from being outside.
How often is there a shooting in like northeast Tallahassee, right?
On Trescott Drive?
On
Not so often.
This is what I can't figure out. How did he get to the hospital? Like, did he call 911?
A neighbor, according to WCTV, here.
And this should be said, the police department won't release his name until they notify
the family.
And them being in Canada puts a little bit more of a wrench into our notification because it's a little bit more difficult to do internationally. But we're in the process.
And there's really, his injuries are really terrible.
The police got notified because a neighbor. Is it a picture of the house? Oh my God! You can see the car. You can't tell it's our house.
Well, yeah, right. You can't tell it's not your house. It certainly appears to.
She's worried about how her house appears. You can't tell it's your house? Well, can you tell it's your house when you're all the way up to the police line, Wendi? When the crime scene tape is stretched across your old mailbox and there's a whole bunch of police there, not something you often see when a tree has fallen down. But she had no reaction. So here her friend is saying, Jane, well, it was really terrible. And Wendy's totally concerned with how her house looks in the media. News stories about this. Is that what she's looking at? Am I wrong? That's what it sounds like.
To be a house like your house.
And they say the 2100 block of Trescott Drive. It must be still blocked off. I bet it's going to be blocked off for a while.
It's certainly a crime scene, obviously a crime scene.
But it's like a thorough. I mean, a lot of people use that as like a drive-through.
Now, these other people.
So she said it's a thorough. Did she mean it's a thorough way? But it sounds like she means like they're still doing an investigation. This is going to be a thorough investigation. That's where I heard her mind going. But maybe she meant to say that that's a main drive, but it's not. It's an off the beaten track path with a lot of speed bumps. It's not the shortcut as she's announced. Really odd behavior here from Wendi, but her friend is just so into the drama of it, and Sarah's just doing her job, the victim's advocate. But Wendy's mind is working a million miles an hour. What do they know? What do they know? What are they going to find out? Am I going to be arrested? Because she knows she benefits the most from this murder.
Well, obviously knew about this. Danny did show up places today.
I don't know that he had anywhere to show up today. Did he? Like, did you know? Because like it's summertime, he works from home, right?
Right, but there are people. But imagine if any of us fall off the grid from 11 o'clock this morning, any colleagues,
that had a meeting or whatever.
Right,
yeah.
all of the stuff he does over phone.
Right. Well, he and I were supposed to talk about where Ben was going to school. And it was very unlike him that I was the one who had to call him. So like he called early this morning. I had a repair guy at the house. And he called early this morning and I left a message and then I called him back. I have the phone record. He called at like 9 and he told me he went to Premiere. So he says, I don't know, like I think
Right. So that's another part of her alibi, the phone records, these very short calls to Dan. And she'd said before, earlier in this questioning, that Dan was supposed to take the kids swimming. Where's the swimming? Where is that gone now? But she's very aware that she has made alibis. I have the phone records.
he went straight from dropping off the boys to go to Premiere. And then he said, I'm going to do an exercise class that gets out at 10:15 or 10:30, and then we can talk after that. You remember how I had a voice thing? Like I hadn't talked to him. He was like, I know your voice is bad. Like, does today work? And he said we could go for a walk at the law school or we could talk. Like, and I have this message on my phone from him, which is why I said to the officer, there's no way he did this to himself. Like 0 chance that he shot himself. You know, Danny.
I think there's 0 chance.
0 chance.
Danny would kill himself.
Yes, 0 chance. Like someone did this to him. So he had plans that we would he said this at 9, like, we'll take a walk, we'll figure this out, we'll talk about school. And then I called him at 11:45 or so and left a message. And that was, I thought weird, but I thought whatever,
and
he's in a
you
meeting.
probably thought, oh good, I don't have to talk to him.
I was really anxious about speaking
God.
with him and having this be a contentious issue about where
Of
our
course
kid is
it
going to go to
is.
school.
Oh my God.
She's like, please don't blow my cover. Please don't share with the room how much I badmouth this guy because I'm trying to play the victim here. Did you hear that? Did you see that little reaction there? Oh, you probably thought, oh, great. I don't have to talk to him about this. I'm trying to play the victim here. I'm trying to play it like my ex-husband caused me a lot of grief, but I would never do this, something like this. Can we go back to blaming Jeffrey Lacasse, everybody? Can we all agree on that?
I didn't hear from him and I didn't think too much of it. I just thought well, they'll just call me later. And then at around noon, I had lunch plans at 1 and I was supposed to go to a friend's engagement party tonight and it's called a Stack the Bar engagement. So I went to go find bourbon. So I went to drive to ABC Liquors and I went to go through Trescott and it was blocked off. So I went around and then I looked for bourbon and then I got gas. That's why I was trying to show the officer, I have receipts from all these things, but I don't know if it matters if they're at noon. I mean, obviously, I would be one of the people that they would think did it.
I mean, you have certainly the most contentious relationship with Danny that anyone has.
Yeah.
But.
And given that Danny is asking the courts that Donna only see the children with supervisors, that she is causing parental alienation. And also given that Danny is asking the courts to censure your law license for hiding assets, and considering that he's demanding that you return this diamond, Holocaust diamond, and considering that he's calling you out on being dishonest and not sticking to the code that you promised of ethics that you would live by being a lawyer. And also given the fact that you want to move the kids to Miami. Yeah, all those things, Wendi.
They swabbed my hands.
Well, fair enough.
Gunpowder.
They should.
They asked me if I washed my hands since noon, and I was embarrassed to say I hadn't. I don't remember when I last washed my hands.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I think Jeff is somebody that they should talk to. And I don't know of anyone else?
They were asking, like, does he have gambling debt? Does he have, and I'm like, the only person he owes money to is me. Like, there's no one else. He's like, he's a straight shooter, right? Like, he's not an alcoholic. He's not a gambler. He doesn't have a sex addiction. He doesn't, like, he doesn't have any, like, weird stuff going on in his life.
No, he's a
So that's a little omission in the negative. He doesn't have any weird stuff going on in his life besides the weird stuff going on between us. He's not this, he's not that. She's telling him all the things he's not, all the negative things he's not. What a ringing endorsement, Wendi. Can we get back to Jeffrey Lacasse? I mean, I'm sure that she talked up Jeffrey Lacasse as a menacing figure to Jane for weeks and weeks and weeks, talking up his jealousy. So she's fully primed for this. And I'm sure she's still loyal to Wendi. She's very seductive and very powerful with these women friends, with the people that she gets on her team.
difficult guy, but he's not.
That's what he was saying. He's like, is there anyone that hates him? And I'm like, he's difficult, but he's difficult in like an ivory tower kind of way.
He's not liked, but he is not.
He's not liked, but he's not hated.
Certainly not, and he has people who love him.
How do the students?
He's not liked. That's a ringing endorsement, isn't it? I mean, she just loves throwing him under the bus every time she can, every chance she can get, right? Unreal.
Feel like, is he like, are law students receptive to him? Like, oh, this is a great.
I think there's some that really like his method, and there are a lot who don't like him at all.
So you say he's more disliked?
He's a very abrasive guy.
Does he challenge you kind of? Would that be a good?
He's challenging. He loves to argue, so he's fairly elitist. So like the students,
very elitist.
The students felt like put down by him a lot, and so they feel like insecure. But again, we're not talking about like hateful and awful. We're talking about like difficult,
right?
You know,
right. And he has colleagues who really don't like him,
but not enough to.
But this is a different, right? It's a different, right?
They don't like him. They don't want to go to lunch with him. Right.
Yeah, no.
He doesn't make friends easily, but it's not like he makes a ton of.
And he has he has very close connections at the temple.
That's what I said.
I mean,
he's got Jewish community and like
he's important in the Jewish community, and he's loved, and he's
and there
serious academic.
Two Jewish temples in Tallahassee, or just one?
It's kind of complicated. There's Temple
at
Israel,
least.
which is the Reform Synagogue. There's Shomer Torah, which is the conservative one that he belonged to.
Okay.
And then there's Chabad, which is sort of like, it's not really clear. It's kind of like a proselytizing thing. And he would donate money there and bring the kids to events there and spend time there. So he's sort of affiliated with two of them. And bring the kids to stuff at Temple Israel too.
I mean, he's very.
So she's connecting him to what she's portraying as a fanatical, cult-like temple. Very interesting. And that Danny was not just happy giving money to this radical proselytizing temple, that he brought the kids there and put them at risk. So now she's kind of floating out the idea that he's a religious fanatic.
Very connected across the Jewish community.
Yeah, he's very involved.
He's also very he had a major Jewish education, so he's extremely knowledgeable about Judaism, and he cares deeply about how people interpret scripture and law and rule and practice, and he's involved in all those sort of debates at the community level, and he's very it would be hard to overestimate how involved he has been in the Jewish community. He has a lot of connections.
And it was kind of one of the reasons why we got divorced, is I just I'm Reform, I'm kind of culturally Jewish, we just had really different religious perspectives.
See, this is one of the things I don't understand. If you meet someone on JDate, which is the Jewish online dating service, wouldn't this be something that you'd talk about on the first date. I understand Dan Markel became more interested in his faith as the marriage went on. But I would think that the kosher food and all those things would be deal breakers early on in the relationship. But what a weird thing to be like, oh, well, we're just different. Oh, you want kosher food at the wedding? No, I'm going to start a war right here at the wedding, because that's what I think that was about. Letting him know that that we're going to get things, the Adelson family is going to get things the way the Adelson families wants it. This is how we are. We are bullies. Submit to our will or pay the consequences. And we'll, even if you have to have your rabbi leave your own wedding, we don't care about your wedding, your experience at your own wedding. It's our way or the highway. And that's the way the Adelson family seems to operate.
In the middle of a fucking nightmare.
I didn't want you to be married to him, but this was not the method.
Well, that's what I said to the officer. I was like, we'd had a rough time, but
this has been a terrible
he's
time.
the father of my children.
Right.
And things were entering a new phase where he has this girlfriend and he's out of town a lot, and that was nice.
I don't know.
That's why I know there's just...
Wow, I don't know if I've ever had a friend say, like, I don't want you with this person. How protective and how absolutely, how absolutely devoted her friends are to her and her worldview. And they cannot deviate a millimeter from it. They all join in on, so the family pastime is hating Danny. It seems like among her friends, hating on Danny, getting into the drama with Jeffrey Lacasse, and seeing Wendi as the ultimate victim.
I mean, given his personality and everything, there's no way that he did this.
No, he didn't.
He had plans to be out of town. He was leaving on Saturday.
And he was delighted with Amy, and he's been delighted with this.
Yeah.
And delighted with the boys, and delighted with.
No,
with,
he didn't do this. So somebody did.
He was angry and upset about the divorce. Really, really angry at Wendi. Really, really angry. But really pleased with how things were going to go.
It's been 2 years, and things for him were a lot better.
Do you mind if I get invested?
Did you guys catch that? Things for him were a lot better, as things for me were going downhill. Note, she didn't say things for us were getting a lot better. No, things for him were getting a lot better. And that's something that you guys have picked up on in the comments. This incredible jealousy and competitiveness. You have to remember, Wendi was raised by her parents to compete, to be the valedictorian, to have the most impressive credentials. And she is with a man with a by all accounts, a genius mind, incredibly accomplished career, and really skyrocketing in the field that he devoted himself to, which is the teaching law. And it's interesting because when you hear his students speak or other professors, his lack of elitism is the thing that they pick up on. And what an interesting thing that both Jane and Wendi are convinced that he's a total elitist and he's only interested in talking to people from the right schools and who are on his level. And that's the one thing that everybody picked out that I've heard interviewed, is that he wasn't like that. That he loved to argue, loved to debate facts, and it didn't matter with whom it was. He was absolutely egalitarian in that desire to discuss issues and discuss topics.
Your eyes can depend and tell him about Jeff?
Yeah, I think you should do that.
Let me go grab it.
I can't believe you brought your own drink here.
Well, I wasn't sure how long I would be here. I was thirsty.
I can't believe you brought your own drink. That's what she's thinking about. She's like, okay, great. Sarah's going to do my bidding. She's going to go throw out Jeffrey Lacoste as a suspect. Now we can have some girl chat. What are you doing with your own drink there, girlfriend? Yeah, I mean, I know that my father of my children just got brutally shot in a way that he's not going to survive, but you brought your own drink? Let's laugh about that some more. Wow.
Just arrived home to pour, say, a glass of wine when they called and said, don't you want to go to the police department? I said, Jay, no, not really.
You believe me that I didn't do this, right?
I assume you didn't do this.
I wish I had I was home working on a paper that's due.
Well, you'll
I
have.
sent it in, I sent edits to
You'll
someone.
have.
I hope they have the time log.
Of course they will.
So now Jane has gone from crouching down on her side to literally sitting at her feet. I mean, I don't know what's more emblematic of this relationship than this picture we have here of the two of them.
All of that is evident. You will, you don't.
I understand why they think it would be me, but
Of course it would be you. But it's not you. Jeff would be my vote. Now, again, just going by, likely. I agree with you.
It would be an accident.
He didn't do this. Jeff,
I hope to God he did.
I know Jeff didn't do it, but I don't think Danny did.
Somebody shot Danny
To death. Holy shit.
I didn't even know that he was still living. Sarah told me that, and then I started freaking out. I was like, I want to get the boys over there. Is he scary looking? Because I want, if he's not going to make it, but he's okay. Or he's not, I wanted the boys to be able to be with him.
Shouldn't somebody be with him?
I know, that's what I said. I was like, he's there, and he's all alone. I was like, is he with...
Shouldn't somebody who loves him?
So now she's realizing that a real weak part in her questioning was when she wanted to bring the boys to the hospital to see their father, who's just been fatally maimed. And everyone was like, what? You're doing what? So now she's making her case to Jane so that she can normalize it and see her view of it and hopefully support that statement and the fact that she wanted to do that with the detectives and kind of normalize it. Because that you could see the whole room was like, what? As a mother, you want to do what with your kids? And she says, I know that they're bloody traumatized. Bloody traumatized. I listened to it I said, did I hear that right? Because I know there's a few people in the comments saying, no, it's plenty. No, listen to it again. She says bloody. So she's thinking about the blood, the gore. She's the ultimate victor here. She won. This is her. She wants to know every detail and rejoice in it. It just thrills her. This is her final victory lap, thinking about all this. It's a really dark place to go, but that's how I see it with her. This is a really, really dark person with an antisocial personality, otherwise known as a psychopath or a sociopath. It's my view of her. Because what other kind of mother could do this to their children? Just for their own juvenile need to be in a different location for a few years, for maybe a decade, maybe a little bit more than a decade. She can't live in a place. She can't fund some vacations. She can't make it work. The solution is to extinguish the life of her ex-husband and the father of her children and damage them in ways that they'll never get over.
Yes. Should I go? Someone needs to go there.
I know.
He's by himself.
Really? He's by himself?
I don't think they haven't called the family yet. They haven't called his parents. They were like, what are his parents' names? They're
I
asking
think,
me.
how about the rabbi?
Oh, that's a really good idea.
How about the rabbi?
Can you ask them?
Yeah, we'll do that right now.
So there's no rabbi at Shomri, but Rabbi Schneyer, that's really his name. He, him or Jack Romberg.
They need to go.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yes, especially if he's not gonna make it, so that they
He needs
can.
to be blessed.
if
My
they can-
God, he needs a blessing.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for being here. I was sitting in this room by myself, losing my mind. I was at lunch with Janine and Ritu. I don't know if you know them, friends of mine, and these officers walk in, and I ate a lunch. Like, I had a whole delicious lunch, and they're like, are you Wendi? We need to speak with you. And I was like, oh my God, are the boys okay? Like, and they were like, the boys are fine. And then I thought, oh my God, like,
What's
what's
not
going
fine?
like, who's finding me here? And they wouldn't tell me. And so he said, I need you to get in the car. And so he drove me, and I started like, I just was like, what's going on? And they're like, your husband. And I said, ex-husband. And they're like, ex-husband? So they didn't have the, like,
Well, I mean, how do they know? They're just starting this.
so they thought we were still married. And so I was telling him everything, and then I was thinking, oh my God, now they probably think I'm a suspect. I should.
But of course you're a suspect, and you're a smart suspect. You should be the suspect. But, I mean, you're not gonna get framed for a crime.
All right. So everybody agrees that the best suspect here is Wendi. Even Wendi and her friend Jane, they all agree that she's the best suspect. But Jane wisely says you're not going to get framed for a crime. And I would think that she still thinks Wendi had nothing to do with this, even after Charlie's conviction. That they did this as a gift or a surprise to her, which I think is totally absurd. But what kind of person could eat a full lunch with their friends? Full, delicious lunch, she said, after driving by the crime scene, right? Just drove by this crime scene, got some bourbon and had some lunch with my friends. What? Knowing all this was going on, and I believe she did know. Do I think she knew who did it? I don't know. Probably not. I think she could have been insulated or isolated from the details. But I think she knew when it was going down, and she knew it was done by hire.
Right.
And it is in your absolute interest to, in every way,
Tell them
everything, because to the extent that if they don't know whoever did it, if this goes unsolved, that's the worst thing for your boys.
So many things, Jane. Like, do you think whoever did this is going to come after the kids?
I'm very worried about that. And I think
I don't want to be like left alone in that. Like, I want protection. I'm scared.
Right. I want protection. I want to be with my parents. So all this is she's feeding. You notice that this is the ultimate yes woman. Whatever she says, is Jeff a good suspect? Yes. Do you think they're going to come after me? Everyone's like, no. The detective's like, no. Who's experienced in these kind of cases? No. They tend not to go after little children. They seem to have gotten the person that they wanted. But this is all more ammunition for why Wendi left town and never looked back, never helped with the investigation. She was scared for herself, and why she's immediately worked on changing the kids' names. Yeah. Jane, the ultimate yes woman.
I don't know who this is. I don't.
Okay. Well, I mean, you should maybe go and stay. I think you should go stay. Can you go to Lynn and David's?
Ellen, yeah. Yeah.
You
They
should.
have lots of bedrooms. I could just.
You
stay
should.
there
I mean, the
for a little
boys
bit.
are there.
Yeah.
And
I need to pick up a few things. Like, I would need my contact lens case.
Just go there. I mean,
I'm really glad you're here. I am losing my shit.
I wish they'd come back.
They keep doing this where, like, they leave for long periods of time, and it's 5:30 already.
Mm-hmm.
I've been here for a while. I didn't know if like, I don't know.
Thank God you're here. She says they keep leaving the room. What she knows is she's seen other interrogations. She's not dumb. She knows they're filming. And thank heavens for Jane, who can back up everything that she says and echo it and reinforce it. And she picked these people for a reason. These are the people, these are the ultimate yes people. And now they will help with her picture of innocence. Because what else does she really have? If you're investigating this as a murder for hire, she's obviously the one who benefits the most. We know that she has this weird TV story. All the details of that is very strange. We know she drove by the crime scene. So all she has is, I'm not the type of person to do this, which is some weak sauce if you've been following true crime for a minute and a half, right?
Are you looking to see if there's more info?
No, I
online?
have not this from Danny, from Kara. So I called her.
Okay. Just going to take a quickie break. Super chats. I'm sorry. Flower Goddess, thank you very much. Jane is the flying monkey to Wendi, who is the narcissist. Exactly. Yeah. They do their bidding. Wendi has to do very little here. She just has to throw out what she wants echoed back or what she wants done out there. And Sarah's just doing her job, which is to support her. But she's really, really manipulated her. Oh, we look like sisters. We have the same face. We have the same skirt. Sister, woman, sister. Girlfriend. My sister from another mother. Even though I just met you. You know who I am. You went to my lecture. All my important friends. Count it all joy. Thank you so much for the super chat. Psychopaths can fake emotions. Mm-hmm. And when they have actual emotion, tears, it's self-pity. Good point. Yeah, I think she's using some of the real nervousness and the real anxiety. She keeps saying, I'm going crazy. When you're really going crazy, you're so consumed with going crazy that you don't have the thought to announce it. So she wants everyone to know her feelings because she's announcing them. It's so weird. Tears, it's self-pity. She has her team wrapped around her little finger. Yeah, that's how I see it. And not to disparage anyone who does this work or the job that they did, Wendi is good at this. She had Jeffrey Lacoste manipulated. He's a clinical social worker. He teaches clinical social work. I mean, these are people who are really experienced and know about these kind of personalities and should. It took Jeffrey Lacoste a long time to go into therapy, where the therapist is like, I think she's a psychopath. And he's like, really? And he brought it up with Wendi, and she goes, I don't know if I'm a psychopath, but I don't feel bad about any of this. And they're also very sensitive because they're all psychopaths are also narcissists. Not all narcissists are psychopaths, but she's very sensitive to any kind of criticism. Can't take it. And so, of course, the reaction, like, you want to take your kids to the hospital? Are you nuts? She is fully making her case to Jane right away. Like, hey, you don't understand. I wanted to do this for the kid's sake, for Danny's sake. I didn't want him to be alone. He's alone. And she's clocking where they are in the investigation. And her technique is to keep everyone else talking, to keep asking the questions so she doesn't have to answer any questions. And it worked. She got out of there without getting arrested. She never had to come back again. And she feels that they will never indict her. And a lot of very pro Adelson comments showing up in the comment section? And where are these pro Adelson op-eds and articles coming from? I think it's a full behind the scenes PR campaign. Because if you are the Adelsons, let's just do a thought experiment before we get back into it. And you have money with a lot of bad facts against you. Charlie Adelson has just been convicted in under 3 hours with $1 million jury consultant. We're going to look at that tomorrow. Really trying to manipulate the jury pool, berate them, try to insist that they are biased. It's a most amazing tape. Piece of footage. Thank you, Craig, for fixing the audio on that. You can find it on his channel if you want a sneak peek of it. If you have all those things and they fail, you know that the chances are very good chance you could get convicted. What you're going to start your PR campaign so that you whip up public support so that Wendi never gets indicted, to try to fish out the idea that there is no will from the public, that, you know, the public's will is not that Wendi get indicted. When what I see is the worldwide will, the world community of true crime observers all saying this justice is not done until Wendi is indicted for this, because she benefited the most. And it was clearly, she was clearly involved with the rest of her family. Donna may have been like the administrator, but this would not have been done without Wendi's okay. And you think that would cause a little problem in the family? Oh, we misunderstood. You didn't want the father of your children shot? We thought you did. What? We're so confused. Well, that was a bad gift, guys. I guess that went over like a sack of wet potatoes, whatever the expression is. I mean, how do you recover from that? You've just done something irreversible as a gift. And even we've seen gifts that can be remedied, like giving a dog or a cat, being so taboo as gifts because of that. So yeah, oh, what, you didn't? I mean, it's just absurd that people think that she didn't know or this was done for her. It just, I mean, if you've lived on, you'd have to be either really young or really naive to believe that, or really under the Adelsons' influence. And that's what they are working on with these op-ed articles and news stories. Portraying, I mean, I think the only thing that Donna really has going for her as far as likability or people on her side, is her age and her appearance looking frail. And we saw that in Harvey Weinstein trial, where he's coming in with a walker. Bill Cosby, they exploit all these things in front of the jury. Really looking old and blind and using a cane coming in. And the message is, he may have done something, but he's too old to be sent to prison. You can't expect, isn't it cruel and unusual punishment to send an elderly person to prison? And I think that that's what her legal team, should she go to trial, will be playing on. And I don't see her expiring before trial. I think she's really a tough lady.
I talked to Carrie yesterday. I was taking a walk around 5. I met a new friend last night, a friend of a friend, this girl Malia. We went to Tallahassee food trucks last night, hung out with her for hours. Are you telling her?
Yeah. Because she also Googled and said, oh my God, there was a shooting, do you know? So both she and John Google, you know.
Why would they Google? Why would that just come up?
I mean, I said to both of them, I'm going to the department, they're the people I said, I'm going to, you know, John was there when I got the,
Yeah.
John got the call from the police officer. So then I'm in the car, I'm like, I'm calling Kara.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm on my way to the police office.
Well, I would have called
And-
you and Kara, but Kara's in Portland.
Right.
I'm really glad you're here.
So I just,
I owe
I
you
just,
big time.
no worries. And so I'm just saying to her that Danny's been shot and it's serious, because until I know that, I can't quite take it, and that's the,
Do you think you could, like, you're allowed to leave the room, can you?
oh, yeah, they're coming.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that Lynn just came,
Oh, good.
just got the car seats in, and she's headed out.
So we have a real concern.
Okay.
Would it be possible for a rabbi to be sent to the hospital?
Okay,
So Danny's very
I don't know.
religious.
Okay.
I don't know if it's
And-
even alive, but
okay.
We're just really struggling with the idea that he's there alone,
No.
and
Okay.
he's very religious.
Okay.
extremely.
And I'm sorry to think of.
I'm sorry about the sound. This is as high as it goes, as high as I can make it. I have the audio up. Maybe I can, if people are really struggling with it, maybe I can try to re-upload this episode. You can catch it on the video section of my channel if I can work on it. But they aren't mic'd, and they are speaking very softly to each other. So yeah, it can be challenging. And there's all the white room noise of the room, the room noise.
This earlier, but I can give you the names of the two rabbis in
Okay.
town, and I think they should be called.
Okay.
And at least he's not, because his family isn't, like, nobody's there with
Okay.
him.
If Sarah, can you write down these names
Because
and
I think
numbers?
if they could go,
Okay.
whatever's happening,
I understand.
whatever state he's in, some kind of blessing
I
is
understand.
required.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't have any phone numbers,
Okay.
but Jack Romberg is the name of
ROMBERG.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
is the name of one of the rabbis. The other rabbi has a name that's going to take you a while to spell. His name
Sometimes those are the easy ones because I find one and that's the only one there
is
is.
his name is Schnoyer Eurichman.
Common spelling on that?
Nice.
That's really his
Good, that was a
name.
good one.
But his
You
last
did.
name is Oirichman. Oirechman. His first name is Schnoyer, SCH.
She seems to have inherited her mother's excellent spelling. Remember, Donna was a spelling bee champion. She's phonetically spelling it out.
Schnoyer.
I'm just Googling Rabbi Tallahassee. and
I'll see what I can find. If you'll tear that out for me and I'll see what I can find.
Thank you.
But Lynn is here. The car seats are in. I've spoken to the preschool. I changed the name. They were fine with that.
Preschool knows that,
Lynn is coming.
okay.
Yes, I've spoken with them after you spoke with them and told them she was coming. They were fine.
Okay. Do
Um,
they know what's going on?
I don't know. The investigator,
Was
made
there.
contact, so I
Yeah.
don't know what all they know.
Okay.
But we spoke with Lynn and
She's
said,
gonna take him to the house?
yep, and
does they
said,
know what's going on?
we explained to her he is severely injured. He may, probably will not make it, but
he knows not to, they don't tell the children.
correct.
So they're just gonna pick him up, say mommy's
Mhm.
in a meeting, mommy's
Time
busy?
for McDonald's. Auntie Lynn's picking you up,
Okay.
and then I have her, cell phone number because I knew you didn't have your phone right then. We'll get that back to you here
Okay.
shortly, hopefully.
Okay.
And I told her that you would call her and probably go straight to the house, whether it's us taking you there, Jane taking you there, whatever, however
Does
you
my
need
car
to
need
get
to
there.
stay here?
I don't think so.
Did I gave them my keys,
Yep,
right?
they have the keys because I
That
got
was
the
my
car
house
seats
key.
out.
Okay.
But yeah, all that should be done. Unfortunately, just everything's time consuming. So that's, kind of all we're waiting on. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see what I
So
can.
good, we need that, and that's just urgent.
Okay,
That's just
absolutely.
really
And
urgent.
it's Jack Romberg and Rabbi
You can call him like Oirichman.
or Rickman. Okay?
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
Thank you for thinking of that.
You're welcome.
And I did tell him Mr. Isom that you want to talk to him again. So.
Yeah.
And is there a bathroom that
Thank you for thinking of that. That makes me look like I care at all about Danny and his well-being and what he would have wanted. I'm so wrapped up in trying to convince these people that I'm not the kind of person who would be behind a crime like this that I didn't think of the rabbi. Thanks, Jane, for that. What'd I do here? Oh, okay. Here we go.
Yes, I had a similar urgency need. Making me swipe my hands before they let me just get on there. I know.
Then goes to your left. And then kind of in that little.
It's that last sigh, right? What is it? Waiting to exhale, the Wendi Adelson story. So we have a lot of her just staring, knowing she's being watched. And she's going to just...
Sorry. Do you mind if I sit in this chair?
Oh, please do.
She's just going to wait until they tell her it's okay to leave, turn on her heels, and never come back and never help with the investigation. Just like anybody, any ex would of the father of their children would be totally unconcerned with who shot the father of their children, robbing their children of a father for the remainder of their lives and changing them in ways that they'll never heal from.
Jane, I'm sorry. I don't know that his family knows yet. Did they get that information?
We're working on that. What we do usually as a law enforcement agency, we don't like to tell people that over the phone if we can try to avoid it, just because it's kind of shocking news. And we usually.
So can you tell
we're
law enforcement there to go to the house?
Correct. That's what we're trying to do now.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, because we don't know, especially people's conditions and how they're going to react. So if someone gets so upset that they have a heart attack or something, we want, not just be on the phone.
It's better to have a human.
Mm-hmm.
But they're working on that now.
Yes.
So it's an actual fact that he's not going to survive these injuries.
That's what General Isom?
Yes, Investigator Isom. Yeah, that's what he.
General.
Investigator.
Whatever. I call him Grouchy sometimes, so it's okay.
I was just in the car with it. I'm like, what is your name? What did I do today?
What is all this laughing about? I tell you, I haven't experienced anything so sudden loss like this. I've been through some traumatic experiences, and either you're shut down, but you're not laughing. This is very weird.
I saw that one from Kara. If you need to call her, you can. You're not being held hostage here.
And neither are you, Wendi, and you know that. She's like, how long do I have to wait it out here before I can go?
Just tell her.
So we're in the process right now, and to do that, generally we have to, it's almost like a telegraph that we send to the other agency, kind of give them the information on who to make contact. It's very old school as we were when I started working here.
I know that it's not I don't know what's happening right now, but as a little bit ago, it wasn't definitive. Do they want to wait until it's definitive, or do they want him to
They want to get in contact with them because I think some decisions need to be made, and because they're his parents, they would be his next of kin. Yeah.
So he's still alive, but he's maybe on life support or some such thing.
I don't know the medical terms around it, but it's from what Investigator Isom was telling her, it does not look.
He was shot in the head.
From what was Investigator Isom?
I said that, and he didn't answer it.
So it's just he was very badly
shot
multiple times, maybe badly.
When I think he did say that there was trauma to his face. And that's when you were asking about showing the boy.
I wanted the kids to be with him, but not if he looks scary.
And not if he's, there's no There's nothing to be.
I know. I just thought he might be like.
She didn't say if he didn't look scary. She said, I want the kids to see him. And then she read the room's face. We're like, are you kidding? She knows that's a major thud. Weird moment. That, and when she said she took the shortcut, Detective Isom was like, the shortcut? That's the shortcut? So she's already bringing up some uncomfortable feelings. And I noticed that Sarah has kind of outlived her usefulness, and now Jane is the real focus for Wendi. When she was useful to Wendi, they were like sisters, our faces are alike, same skirt. I'm usually more entertaining. She's worried about entertaining both the detective and the victim's advocate. But now she's got the echo chamber that she wants with Jane, can reinforce her as the good type of person and Danny as the villain in the story. Give her just enough room to make her escape.
No, I know.
I got the
like
feeling he
got
might be a
shot
little
in the
bit
leg.
alive.
Right.
And if he's a little bit alive, I wanted him to like touch
be
the
able to
kids
see
one
the
more
children,
time.
right? But he's apparently beyond that. Like he probably hasn't
From what
regained
Investor Isom
consciousness.
said, correct, yes. I don't,
He's
from
been,
what he was saying, I wouldn't
he was
take
found
it.
in a really dreadful state, and he has not come out of any kind of. He ended that phase. Oh, what Lord! Have you called your parents, darling?
No, after we're just
Did
going.
she call her parents?
They have my.
So she's sitting there while they're discussing it, Wendi, doing this weird, like closing her eyes, kind of scrunching up her nose and doing that weird breathy thing, right? Trying to recreate trauma breath. And then Jane asks her, have you called your parents? And she's like, nope, not yet. Like she snaps right out of it. Breath back to normal. It's almost like waking up out of hypnosis or something. It's so bizarre. I really would love to know what Sarah thinks in retrospect when did she watch this? Has she watched this? How she feels about Wendi now? It would be very interesting to know.
See, they have her phone.
But
Yeah,
I
but I know
their number.
I do know my family's number.
I don't
Know the answer.
I don't know that. I don't want to say yes. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm
but
gonna go to the bathroom and come back. Do you need to like? Am I a suspect? You need to like watch me.
no, I don't need to watch you.
Okay, I'll be back.
What I'll do too is I'll just check and see if you can call your.
So I'd love to get a suspect clock on this and just edit together every moment she asks if she's a suspect. Because what she's interested in doing one more time is getting out of there without getting arrested. She's checking again. Do you have to watch me pee? Nope. I'm still all clear. You still buying my story? Okay. I need a little break. I need a little private bathroom break so I can recollect myself, because all this breathing and acting and thinking, calculating where you are in the investigation and what you're thinking about me is getting very tiresome. I need a little alone time. I'm going to take a little bathroom break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, I don't see any issue with it.
I just think they're gonna want to come up.
Well, and you're gonna want them here. Honey.
Yeah.
So they
I want
need to.
them.
They need to get in the car right now, and they need to come up.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what needs to happen. Because they can stay with you at your house.
And they can
We
help me
can.
with the
We
boys.
just try to figure out if you're safe to be in the house.
Yeah.
So. Gunshot wounds. Gunshot wounds. Don't tell anybody else. Just keep it to yourself. I know that you're. he's right. No, he's Wendi. Of course, I mean they've been interviewing her as a suspect, and I have suggested Jeff Lacasse. That's my contribution, and also suggested that we get a rabbi.
That's my contribution. I've already brought up the one suspect that Wendi's already perfectly lined up and perfectly prepared me for to parrot, as she's told me during our walks this week, how jealous he is and how out of his mind and still in love with me he is, and desperate to get back with me he is. I really am just so curious as to Jane's view of this case, if she would even be open to look at any of critical material on the case. Like Jibbers put together a great video on the car, how they picked the car and what car they picked in the June trip, the sort of what became a dress rehearsal. I don't mean that to be insensitive, but it was an attempt that they didn't go through with it because, of course, Dan Markel was with his children and they didn't want to shoot him in front of his children if that's really what happened. Everybody's such a kind of unreliable narrator, hard to know, but for whatever reason, it didn't happen in June. So they had to move it to July. So she has fully prepared. That's my contribution. So Jane knows what she's doing when she throws out Jeffrey Lacasse's name. And you can see when they're both discussing it, they have totally convinced themselves with their eyes that he's the best suspect. And they just have to convince everyone else, right? They're like right on the same wavelength with each other. That's it. It's Jeffrey Lacasse.
Because he's alone. He doesn't have family here. This is really terrible. This is really terrible. There's nothing you can do that I can think of. Wendy's got, I mean, they brought me here to get the kids, but I thought, God, the poor children, they won't know me. And actually, it's probably better that I'm, here with Wendi. I'm sitting here with the victim advocate and now the investigator, and I'm going to get off the phone. Mm-hmm. I will. All right. Bye, Dawn.
Okay, I appreciate you coming up here.
I'll get out of your way.
It's time to go.
Okay.
We got some more stuff we have to take care of. But I really appreciate you coming up here and talking to her. And
I've suggested to you that you look at Jeff Lacasse.
that's what Sarah was saying. I'm not sure who that guy is.
Well, she'll tell you about it. And
is she going to tell me everything?
I imagine she will. I mean, she's been Danny's a jealous guy. Jeff is a jealous guy.
All right.
That as a social worker, I
Okay.
would be.
Well, let me ask you this. If Jeff is the new guy, why would he feel like?
Just because this is something I wouldn't say in front of Wendi.
Okay.
I thought you said something I wouldn't say. I'm like,
Wendy's laughing again. Why would he do it? Well, did you hear? I said he was very jealous. Your Honor, the jury, let me present to you my case. Jeffrey Lacasse, very jealous. The end. Go to jury deliberations. I mean, come on. Did you hear he's very jealous? And Wendi is just delighting in this. Everything's going as planned, even better than expected. She's thought about all the scenarios, following them following her to the bathroom. She's fully prepared to hand over her phone. She's got the receipts. Going through, she didn't expect them to tow her car. That was a big surprise. But it's going better than she ever dreamed.
I'm right here.
As doing the kind of work I do, I would think, there's this person, and then he loves Wendi. Danny makes Wendy's life very difficult. Wendi is currently making his life very difficult. I don't know him to be a lunatic, but he's a jealous guy.
Okay. All right.
That's what I would say. He's my colleague, so he's somebody I think of as a decent guy.
That would be who now?
Jeff Lacasse is my colleague.
Okay. All right.
He's a decent guy, but he's definitely your number one suspect in this brutal murder. What do they, I mean, I just love to know what kind of life experience these people have on planet Earth. That, you know, they're taught all about psychopaths and narcissists, these social workers. And here's this woman sitting right in front of her, manipulating her. She can't see it. That will tell you how good Wendi is at manipulating people. Here's someone who's trained to spot this kind of stuff, and she can't see it. She's so emotionally attached. She's sitting at her feet. At her feet. Yesing everything she says. Never giving never thinking to herself, could my friend do this? Even Sarah, look at the body language. She's starting to move away from her. She's starting to get a little, I don't know. She's starting to get a little weirded out, whether it's just in her subconscious and she doesn't allow herself mentally to go there. But look at the body language. Something doesn't feel right to her in her 2.5 years of doing this. And I wouldn't call that someone new to the job.
You're leaving? Yes, I'm being kicked out.
Oh, really?
Really. But I can come get you if you need me.
Okay.
Okay? So if you can't drive, it's no problem.
What's your number, Jane, so I can give you a call?
321-4657.
Yeah, Sarah's like, get lost. Wendy's like, no, but the plan was to keep you here. And I'm out of my mind. Does everybody know that I'm out of my mind? I'm losing my mind. Do I have to do the breathy thing again, guys? You're kicking her out? She's bummed out. She's going to have to answer questions. And now she's going to go back to her old technique of asking a lot of questions so she doesn't have to answer them.
I'm happy to come get you. You need to talk to these guys.
Can you make sure someone goes to see Danny? I guess they're gonna do
You're
that.
gonna
That's
do
not
that,
your
right?
job.
You're gonna make sure that there's
I know Sergeant Baldwin, when I was out there, I've been talking to her when you
it's
were
really
arrested, they were
critical
working on that.
that he be blessed today.
Oh,
It's absolutely
okay.
critical.
Look how Wendi reads these silences so well. They all don't have to say anything, and she fills in what they're thinking. Oh, no, that's not your job. Jane's like, I don't want to go make sure that the rabbi shows up at the hospital. I have people to tell. I have to pick you up. You're a full-time job, Wendi. Everybody in the room is like, what? You want your friend to check in the rabbi and make sure he's there? It's kind of like the TV and Jeffrey Lacoste, right? Making him watch on the broken TV. It's not just enough that Wendy's friend suggested this rabbi. She wants a witness to this rabbi. We suggested, now it's me, it's her suggestion, right? I suggested this rabbi, and I made sure he showed up because I was so concerned with Danny's well-being. Same thing with the kids. All these ideas fall flat. I want to rush the kids into his hospital bed and traumatize them, because it's not traumatizing enough just what just happened to their father.
That he see that a rabbi go there. Absolutely critical.
Okay,
All right,
bye. Thank you for coming.
Okay. I am available to you. I'm going now, but you know.
Yeah.
This is a process, and you're going to move through it.
Okay.
I'm glad. Thanks very much. And these guys were very generous to let me come in here at all. So thanks very much for
You're welcome. I'll be back.
I think he'll just ask you some more questions, and they just need to, they don't, and sometimes, friends and family try to help, but sometimes they
No, it's good that you
tell their
told us that.
side, and that was good. Sorry, it's so cold in here, and I was irresponsible to not offer you a jacket.
I'm not sure if it's cold in here. I was like shaking from the moment the officers came into the restaurant and were like not
Right, that's
telling
not a
me
normal
what was going on,
situation.
and so I didn't know what it was. I knew it wasn't good, and so I feel like
Yeah, she's shaking out of nervousness. I do think she really probably was shaking. Absolutely shaking. She knows that the way she acts, what she says is crucial to not getting arrested in this case. And so far, she's avoided it.
My body started shaking a few hours ago. I don't know if I'm actually cold, but thank you for the jacket.
Well, it's generally, I don't have goosebumps yet, but usually I get goosebumps in this room, so it might be warmer than normal, but I think nerves. And then they said that they should be done with your phone very soon too, and then that's when.
Will they just sort of, can I get an update from like, I just want to make sure the kids are not freaking out. Like, I don't know what Lynn told them, and I trust her very much, but like, is there any way to just get an update on my kids to make sure I know they're okay, like they're in good hands, but I don't know. I mean, just to make sure like they're not being told like
Too much information at once.
Yeah, or just like, where's mommy? I would like them to say like, mommy's at a work meeting or something,
okay.
like just something that the kids would understand. Like sometimes mommy's at work, so they get the idea of like,
Okay.
I mean, they would wonder why is mommy at work at this hour, but something.
Okay. Let me.
Can you just lie so it's easier on me? I just want to be able to control every bit of parenting that comes my kid's way. I wonder why she's sending this victim's advocate out. It's odd with this task. It seems, I guess she wants to seem like a concerned mother.
You check on that, okay?
I'm not trying to create more work for you.
You're not creating more work. This is kind of what I'm.
Because that's exactly what it seems like she's trying to do. Hustle her out of the room. And I wonder if she's picking up on the fact that what I'm picking up on is that Sarah isn't totally aligned with her and believing her anymore. Because it just looks like she's giving her busy work. That's what it seems like to me.
I'm here for right now. Exactly what I'm here for, okay?
Yeah.
I think this might be a good place to leave it. We're almost done 2 hours for tonight. And I know that this is a really pretty fascinating interview, but there is only so much that one can take of Wendi in one night. And we've done, almost, what is it, like an hour, 52 minutes? I think that might be a good place to leave it, and we can circle back to it this week. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about Rashbaum and his amazing jury consultant, Josh Dubin, for $1 million retainer. Flew in, demanded that the jury pool confess that they're all biased, that they love Nancy Grace, that they're all hate going to the dentist. It's really very interesting video. Going to be talking about that tomorrow. Really don't miss it. I was shocked. I was shocked that he was allowed to do the things that he did in that presentation to the jury and weeding through the jury. And then apparently he left immediately, didn't stick around for the trial. I thought was outrageous. Being paid $1 million, you can't stick around for a 2-week trial? Come on. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Please, if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel. Those that are listening on podcast, leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and I'll see you back here really soon. Have a great night, everybody.